for the Russians in 2020.
God. Juliet mentioned Jared Kushner. April, let me play for our viewers what Jared Kushner did say was about really downplaying this whole thing. Listen to this.
You look at, what Russia did, buying some Facebook ads to try to sow dissent and do it, and it's a terrible thing. But I think the investigations and all of the speculation that's happened for the last 2 years has had a much harsher impact on our democracy than a couple of Facebook ads. If you look at the magnitude of what they did and what they accomplished, I think the ensuing investigations have been way more harmful to our country.
I mean, a couple Facebook ads. I mean, honestly, the estimates are that on Facebook, there were 80,000 posts between 2015 and 2017. And as David mentioned, reaching 126 million users. I mean, I do wonder if you think there is, the White House, is there any way that those comments coming from Jared Kushner or him shooting from the hip? Or do we assume that that is a prevailing view now?
That's a prevailing view within the White House, Kate. What's happening is that this administration doesn't want to give the Russians any life as it relates to their interference in the 2016 elections, as well as the midterms, which we know, and this White House knows that they were trying to sway. So the bottom line is that Jared Kushner is sounding like his father-in-law, a party of one he's playing to, but at the same time, you never know. He really may feel this. This is what they're trying to push over the top for everyone to see. They don't want to give the Russia investigation any more life than what it had. So that's one of the reasons why they're going to downplay it, particularly Jared Kushner, the first son-in-law. But he is singing the tune of his father-in-law.
David, President Trump in the past has said that President Obama is to blame basically for this because it happened during the election. The Russia interfering in 2016 happened under his watch. For our viewers, here's a reminder.
Barack Obama, when he was president, found out about this in terms of if it were Russia, found out about it in August. Now, the election was in November. That's a lot of time. He did nothing about it.
Mulvaney echoed that, David, in his statement that he put out today. The reality of it is it's more complicated than what they're trying to paint.
It sure is, Kate. And as we were discussing earlier today, it's certainly not that President Obama did nothing. He specifically met with and warned Vladimir Putin at a meeting in China in September of 2016. There were other warnings sent through, including at one point the nuclear alert system, which was just to get their attention. And then, of course, after the election, the White House, Obama White House, imposed sanctions, threw out 35 diplomats who were actually spies, closed 2 Russian facilities. Now, I would argue to you, and I think some members of the Obama team would argue, that that was not a sufficient response, that they should have stepped in earlier when the Russians had gone into the State Department, White House, and Joint Chiefs of Staff email systems, some of them unclassified email systems, named the Russians and pushed back so that Vladimir Putin would realize that there was a price to be paid. You could have argued that they could have acted, and certainly some of the president's aides argued that he could have done more in that summer in 2016. He could have exposed the connections to the oligarchs. He could have frozen Russia's ability to operate.
And no matter all of that, David, it doesn't stop President Trump from, let's just say, doing better if he would like to going forward. I mean, April, David, David got to this, and I just can't get over this one fact. Why can't the president at this point accept 2 truths that can exist at the same time? That Russia did interfere in the election. It is reality. And also that he is a legitimately elected president of the United States. What is it?
You know, it boggles the mind because the president at one time, if you remember, this president was saying, that he won even the popular vote, which was not the case. So he's very concerned about the optics of how he won. And that's big. And it plays into his brand. Ever since we've known of the name Donald Trump, and even before we knew of the name Donald Trump, he was working on his brand. He wants to make sure that he stands clear, unchallenged, that he is the total winner. He doesn't like the fact that he did not